Alright everybody, I'm back, and I was a little bit better. Everything's still kind of cloudy, but I can see a little bit out of it. And today, we're going to paint this jam in the 70s. So let me flip this camera around and give a better view of what we got going on. Alright, I've come in here, and I body worked this. And so I sprayed with some TranStar spray can primer. So basically what we're going to do, I got some 320 grit wet dry paper down there in the bottom. And I've got Boots over here in the passenger floorboard because he's down here with me. What you doing, buddy? Because anytime he sees the door open, he thinks he's got to get in the car. Even though he knows he's not supposed to be in the car. But basically, what we're going to do, we're going to wet sand this with 320. And then I'll come back and I'll show you how we're going to blend this paint into our quarter panel here. And alright, after you get everything sanded, what I like to do, I like to take a little acetone or a little, fast evaporating thinner on towel, and I'll wipe down my area. Just kind of lightly here. Just to make sure the area is clean. And what we're going to do, since this car has a seam right here, I'm going to tape along this seam right here and here. And I'm going to tape up the edge of this quarter panel all the way up. We'll tape our window opening, our rubber here, and I'm going to block the inside of the car on this side. Boots is still in here hanging out for whatever reason. But basically, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tape this up now, and I'll come back when I get it taped up. I would show y'all a little more of what's going on, but I forgot my phone mount at the shop. So basically, you're kind of getting an idea here of what's going to go on. And then we'll pop back in here and we'll blow this in right here. And alright, I got this kind of just rough taped up here. As you noticed, it don't really have a hard edge right here. And that's part of what I'm going to do here. I don't want a hard edge on this right here. So basically I'm going to concentrate on this area right here. And I'm actually going to do this with a can of rattle can right here. This is what I painted valve covers with on this car, and the paint does match. It being in door jam, it won't be so detrimental. And basically what I'm going to come in here and do, I'm going to concentrate on our body worked area. I'm just going to lightly let the mist, the overspray, go over where our red is. Alright, and then I'll come back in here with a clear, and I'll put a couple of clear top coats on it. And then we'll go from there. But I'll be right back. Alright, and basically right now I just put a mist coat on. And as you can see, I concentrated on to where our black primer is. A light gray primer would have been easier to cover, but this is just our first coat. We're not worried about even coverage. So basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to concentrate on our primer areas. And once I get about the same shade of red as the rest of the car, I'll come in here and I'll just lightly mist the remaining red, just around where we're painting. It's real important when you do this stuff and you're trying to have a nice result with a rattle can. And it is possible, but you just got to take your time. You got to watch what your color's doing, and you got to watch your coverage. So this being door jam is not super detrimental. Basically, as long as it's red, it wouldn't really matter. But this paint does match surprisingly well. So I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll come back. Alright, I got our second coat on right here. As you can see, you can still see some of the primer through it in spots. Keep in mind that your spray can touch-up paints like here. And I'm not sponsored by Duplicolor, but their stuff does, if you get a factory paint coat, it does match pretty good. But it is super thin, so super light coats. Anytime you paint something, you don't want to put a ton of material on. You just want to put enough to make your color match. It is a base coat, so basically I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to come back in here, and maybe another coat or maybe two might actually do it, and we'll be pretty close. Then I'll bring the light in here and y'all can see. But so far it looks like it's going to match just like the last can I used, so let's get back busy. And alright, we're about 4 coats in on our black primer areas. And I have started to kind of pull it down a little bit and up. As you can see, our color is fairly close. So I'm going to let this tack up, and I'm going to blow another coat on it, and we'll see where we get at. And alright, at this point we're 5 coats in. I fully pulled it up and over and down to our edge right here. So one more coat and it should be exactly where I want it to be. The important thing when you're trying to match color, you want to shine a light on it. Like right now, it looks 2 different colors. As this red dries out, it darkens up. Usually the best way to mimic sunlight's with a natural light kind of LED. If you're 100% worried about a paint match. In this case, we're painting a door jamb, and we just want it to look good enough when you got the door open that you can tell it matches the car. So basically, I want to put one more coat on this, and then I'll be back. And alright guys, after our 6th coat here, I went ahead and just untaped this outside and the bottom down here, just to show y'all that you can do something like this and blend the paint reasonably well. Now, I will have to tape this back up and clear coat it in here. One thing about when this car was painted, that is one thing they did not do. The door jamb paint is a little rougher than the outside of the car. As the car was jammed first and then painted as one assembled piece. So technically I could leave it just like it is and nobody would probably ever notice. But the right way to do this would be to clear coat it, because the car is clear coated. Would be to blend this in down here, which as you can see our paint line right here and our rocker jamb. A little 1500 right there and a little rubbing compound, and you'd never notice it. Same way on our quarter panel lip. That's why I soft taped that. I wanted it to overspray some close to the edge of the quarter panel. That way it helps it blend. Now, they sell aerosol products in a spray can that you can actually spray on that when it's still tacky, and it will help burn it into the existing paint. I do plan on painting this car again, and I will paint it back yellow like it used to be. But for now, we're going to stick with the red until we start seeing some more bad spots in it, and then we'll paint the whole car. But for now, it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. We have a reasonable, gloss compared to the rest of the car, which I have actually scratched the car up pretty good just by handling it and moving stuff around. And I did adjust the door gaps and stuff in the car. Let's kind of show y'all what I'm talking about. The valve covers are painted with the same paint. As you can tell, it matches pretty well. But what I'd done, I'd come in here and I'd fix some of these door gaps. Before, you could stick your pinky in the back side of the passenger side quarter panel right here. While this gap isn't beautiful, and it's a little wider than what I'd like, it's still a ton better than what it was. But unfortunately, I've got some paint chips I got to fix. And as you can see, I built these up with some primer. And I'm going to lightly wet sand these and repeat the same procedure I did in the door jamb over there, but with a brush over here. Same way with the driver's door. I've got a couple spots to touch up. But I did get the door to fit reasonably well, along with the fender at the bottom of the rocker panel. If you're going to paint an old car, or something you care about, get all your panel gaps lined up before you paint the car. And you won't have to go through this stuff like I am right now. So basically, that's how you kind of blend your paint back into your quarter panel. So we cut a panel out, we body worked it in, and now it's painted. It looks reasonably nice. I know it's hard to see from the camera and probably hard to see from the cell phone camera, but it looks pretty good in person. I'm pretty happy with it. So I'll be back here in just a moment and we'll talk a little bit more about it. Alright, I touched up our chip right here. And when touching up stuff with a paintbrush, you want to build it up above the surface of your paint. That way you can take like some 1500, 2000, or 3000 grit sandpaper and sand it back flush. And then you can rub it out and you won't ever see where the chip was. So, got that one right there. I had one on the corner of the hood where I had the fender bolts loose where I moved this fender. And I had a couple over here on this door. Just where they had such everything ill-fitting on the car. Now, I know in another video I buffed this car. I'm going to have to go back and buff it again. Good thing is I won't have to buff the whole car. We're just going to pretty much buff panels at this point. Where we're touching paint up. And basically what I done, I just took our spray can stuff and I sprayed it in the lid. And I let it kind of thicken up and, you know, just using the brush and touching it up because that's how we go. But our paint's fully cured out now. It's been about an hour since I sprayed our last coat. I'll decide if I want to clear coat this, which I more than likely will. Just in the interest of scratching and everything else. But right now, it looks pretty good, especially for the kind of repair we did. It was kind of a super invasive repair. I did order a new set of door strikers for the car, and I will put them on when they get here, along with a new set of screws. But probably tomorrow afternoon, I'll come in here and put our door rubber back on and, you know, our little vent and stuff back down there. We can get all that stuff buttoned up. But basically, guys, don't be afraid to fix stuff, even if it requires painting. Obviously, if it was a custom color, it would be super hard to match. But a lot of you paint and body shops, especially your local paint shops, most of them have what you call a profit. And if you got a good sample of paint, they can scan it and get you something that's super, super close. And they can even put it in a spray can for you. The only reason why I knew that the Duplicolor touch-up paint match was I painted these valve covers. And it wasn't super imperative that it matched perfectly. But it did turn out to match almost 100%. So that's what I used for this. As far as cost-wise goes, you know, your Duplicolor can right there at your local O'Reilly's, even through my commercial account, even though I don't get a discount like I'm supposed to, it's $14.99 on the shelf, and that's what I paid for that. Once again, not sponsored by anybody, guys. This stuff comes 100% out of my pocket. So, pretty happy with the results, and I'll keep touching the paint up until it's built up above the top of the paint level. And then we'll come in here in a later video and I'll show you what it looks like after the repair is 100% complete. But until then, see you tomorrow.